Hello everyone, Andre here. In today's video, I will show you a chord that you can use to replace your straight sounding major chords for a more interesting, rounder, fuller sound. Let's check it out. And we're talking, of course, about the major sixth chord, sometimes simply known as the sixth chord. In this case, of course, we'll see it in C because, as always, I will teach it to you in C so you can compare it to all the other chords in the series and make up your own mind about its sound. Now, the use of this chord is really basically just pop it in anywhere you see a major chord. As long as you're in a normal scale, so to speak, so major, minor, the diatonic modes, even most other modes, you'll be able to just replace them. And it makes it very popular, of course, in many styles of music. You'll see it in pop music, in funk, you'll see it in rock music, even country music, all kinds of music, in jazz, wherever you hear a lot of major chords can be a bit in your face when you put them in a song. And if you want to add a bit of extra dimension and depth, these are great chords, very simple to use, and they're not really hard to finger on the fretboard either. So to really understand them in depth, let's see the formula, how they're built, and then we'll get into the sound. The formula for these chords is quite simple. It's built on the foundation of a major chord. So we have the root, in this case is C. We have the major third, which is E. We have a perfect fifth, which is G. Now this is a regular major chord, but then on top of it we're going to add the major sixth. The major sixth is quite easy to find. You're on your fifth, which is G. You just have to go up one whole step or 2 frets on your fretboard. So there you go. It's an A, right? So we have C, E, G, and A. All right, very simple formula. And of course, the important thing is what it sounds like. So let's talk about the sound of the major sixth chord. All right, so the sound of the major sixth chord is extremely interesting to me because by adding one note to the quintessential happy chord, the major chord, we get 2 very different and even contradictory effects. The first is that we're adding to an already bright chord, the major chord, another quite happy and bright interval, which is the major sixth. Right? This doesn't sound out of sync with a regular major sound. And that's one thing. The other thing, though, is that we are adding the A to the C, and the A is the relative minor of C. So, of course, we expect it also to sound very minor. That's the note we're adding to the C. So both of these facets seem to combine into this chord, and it makes it so rich and interesting by simply adding one note. So it always struck me as very interesting and captivating to me, the major sixth sound. And so you can use it, of course, anywhere, but I like to think of it as kind of a bridge between major and minor, right? So if I have a major chord and I'm not quite too sure that I want it to be that major, but I also don't want it to be too ambiguous, then I just bring it over just a little bit to the minor side with the sixth. And one way, without getting too deep, that we can explain this is the following. Imagine the formula again of the C major sixth chord. We have a C, an E, a G, and an A, right? So we have C, E, G, that's our major triad, plus an A, which is our sixth. But now look at it the other way. Start counting from A. Same notes. We have A, C, E, G. Now if you look at it that way, this chord is an A minor 7th chord. We just discussed the previous video. And so it's a minor chord. But of course, it's a minor chord that doesn't sound as minor as a regular minor chord. And this C6 is a major chord that kind of leans toward minor a little bit because of that A. So it's a very strange sounding chord, and it's a very common chord, and I think people sometimes use it, but don't get so deep with it that they understand that there's a kind of both major and minor qualities to it. So I suggest you really spend time with it, listen to a few of the positions I'm going to show you today, listen to it in depth, try to get in there, and really, focus on the sound. You'll be able to make some great use out of this. Alright, and as always, let me show you 3 different positions to play this chord. Now, I always say this, but especially in today's case, it's very important that you go deeper than 3 positions. So learn at least 10 or even more different voicings and fingerings on the fretboard, because this chord changes a lot in how it sounds depending on what voicing you use. So the first position, we'll keep it as simple as possible, is basically an A minor, but we have a C here on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. All right, so we have 3, 2, 2, 1. Okay, now this chord is missing a G. Okay, it's fine, you don't need a 5th in a major 6th chord. But if you want to have the G back, you can just lift this little finger, put it on the 6th string, that's a G, and you can play it like an inversion. All right, so either this or this will work, and they both sound good, and they will both do the same job, but you know, you have an option. This next one is a bit smaller, and that's why it's useful. Sometimes you don't want a full 6th, 5th string sound, and so it's always good to have 1 or 2 positions that are played only on the top 4 strings. So here it goes, is 7 on the 4th string, that's our A. Then we have our E on the 9th fret of the 3rd string, and then we have 8 and 8 on the 2nd and 1st string, that's our G and C. If this hurts you a little bit, you can still play it with all fingers, doesn't matter, all right? Now remember, the root in this case is on the highest note. Beautiful sounding chord. And the last one is also one of my favorites, and it's here. And this position has an A on the 12th fret of the 5th string, then we have the 12th fret of the 3rd, a G, then we have the little finger on the 13th fret of the 2nd string, that's a root, and then we have our major 3rd, E, on the 12th fret of the 1st string. Okay? Very nice sounding chord. Now, as far as scales are concerned, you can use basically any major scale, because most of them do have the root, major 3rd, 5th, and the major 6th. So today we're going to talk about all the 3 basic modes, all right? So over a C major 6th chord, you could play, of course, C major. Right? Very basic sounding scale, but it does work. You could also use the Lydian mode, because the Lydian mode changes as compared to the major scale by raising the 4th. The 6th is not affected, so you can use it. You could also use the Mixolydian scale, because the Mixolydian scale is a major scale with a flat 7, so the 6th again is not affected and can be used. So over the same chord. Okay, this is what I would start with, but again, you could play the major pentatonic, of course, over it, and many other modes of other scales of the melodic minor and the harmonic minor, as long as the 6th is not affected. And this brings us to the end of this video on the major 6th chord. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful, and that it will inspire you to go out and learn a lot more about this wonderful chord. Again, these videos are just a little seed of inspiration for you to then go out and certainly learn more, but also make up your own mind about the sound of these chords, what emotion they convey for you, and how you can use them in your own music. All right, if you haven't done so, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing with your friends, and all that good stuff, because it will really help out the channel, and also it will let you know every time there's a new video, and about our live streams every Saturday. You're all invited to join us. I always teach for about an hour or so, and we have a good time and learn something about music, composition, technique, music theory, performance, and music production, and all kinds of stuff. So you're all invited on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Central European Time. In the meantime, go back to your guitar, practice, enjoy it, have fun, and make some great music. See you soon. Bye-bye.